What's going on, everybody? My name is Manectric, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our GBA Week 12 match versus George, coach of the San Francisco Arcaniners. If you've not for whatever reason, please check out his channel in the description below. He is an absolutely incredible battler, and I'm really looking forward to play him once again. We did lose to him earlier in the season 4-0, however, he is a very different team. I have a little bit of a different team, and I have a new mentality going into this match, so hopefully we're going to be able to pull out a win. His team is still relatively scary, though it does have a couple flaws that I will get into. Not necessarily flaws, but a couple weaknesses to my team that are relatively obvious that I'm sure he's going to account for as well. So without further ado, let's get into George's roster. It should be popping up on screen right now, and I have it down here on my phone, as always. So, George's roster. He now has the Manaphy, because why not? Manaphy, Piloswine, Infernape, Forretress, Snorlax, Gardevoir, Spiritomb, Electabuzz, Mega Beedrill, Sceptile, and Nidoqueen. So he definitely still has a very scary team. The combination of Manaphy, Piloswine, and Infernape is disgusting, covers a lot of different types. Very threatening offensively, have very few switch-ins to those things. Gardevoir is going to be a problem like last time. Forretress was a problem last time, I can see it being a problem now. Things like Nidoqueen, like his two ground types are both very problematic. I wouldn't be surprised if we were up both of them. Sceptile can even kind of catch me off guard. Electabuzz is annoying, so his whole team is still somewhat of an issue to mine. But I think I've been able to build a team of 6 that will be able to take on his team, and we are going to get into that right now. It's very different from the last time that I played him. If you can't tell from Team Preview, I'm bringing 3 different Mons. Finally bringing Hitmonchan, as you can see. But without further ado, let's get into these specific Mons. Starting off, relatively standard, we have our Choice Scarfed Garchomp. When you look at his roster, he has no ground immunity. His ground resist is Sceptile. His best switch into Earthquake is Forretress, which I can knock out with a Flamethrower. So we are going with a Choice Scarf Garchomp, outspeeds the entirety of his team, bar Choice Scarfers, and even then, only like a Scarfed Electabuzz can outspeed me. Even then, it can't knock me out. Scarfed Infernape, which will not be able to knock me out with anything bar HP Ice. So, like, I outspeed a lot of his Mons. I 2-KO most of his team, so this is a very big threat to his team. Like I said, the Scarf is going to be super helpful. If I whittle his team down a bit, I can just spam Outrage or Earthquake and knock out the entirety of his team. Speed investment, this is just so that I can outspeed a timid max speed Manaphy if in case he is Scarfed. I don't think he's going to bring a Scarf Manaphy, that's kind of weird, but people have done it in the GBA in the past, and I wouldn't put it past George to at least consider it, because it is a very, very scary thing to deal with, Manaphy that is, and he could just bring a Scarf to catch me off guard. It outspeeds my Manectric, it outspeeds my Garchomp if I'm not Scarfed, so I'm deciding to bring that much amount of speed. Not that, I mean, Garchomp has relatively good natural bulk anyway, so I'm fine on that aspect. And like I said, this is just made to revenge kill things or to possibly sweep late game. Also, I'm running Flamethrower with a Jolly Nature because I don't want to go naive or something like that and lose defense when he has the offense that he does have on his team. And Flamethrower is literally only there for the Fortress, and it has a very good chance to OHKO anyway after rocks without being naive or having any special attack investment. So that is why we are running Jolly Nature with the Flamethrower. This is our Garchomp. I'm hoping this will be able to put in a lot of work. Yeah, I definitely think it could, because like I said, no ground immunity, ground resist is Sceptile, not a lot to switch into this mod, and I'm hoping that I can capitalize on it. So next up, we have our Mega Manectric, relatively standard. Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Flamethrower, and Hidden Power Water. This is a mod I believe I actually did not bring versus George last time. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, this is the Mon that does very well versus George's team now. It is a very good offensive check to the Manaphy. It has Hidden Power Water to 2-KO the Piloswine. I can also possibly knock it out with Flamethrower plus Hidden Power Water. It outspeeds the Infernape. I can Intimidate that, hit it with a Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, predicting a switch. He has the Fortress with that, which I OHKO with Flamethrower, or I can Volt Switch out versus Snorlax. I can Volt Switch out versus. I am running Static. That is to ensure that if Gardevoir comes in and traces me before I am Mega Evolved, he cannot trace Lightning Rod. Like, suppose he tries to switch into my Manectric when I'm pre-Mega'd, trying to get a cheeky Lightning Rod boost. He will not be able to do so. He will trace Static instead, and I'll get a free Volt Switch out into something else. Spiritomb doesn't match up great against my team. He could bring it, but either way, I Thunderbolt spam that, or I Volt Switch out versus it. Electabuzz, I can freely Volt Switch out versus, and it cannot do a ton to me. Mega Beedrill, I Intimidate, can live any one hit from, and then hit it hard with a Flamethrower, Volt Switch out versus, like I said. Sceptile, Flamethrower, and then Nidoqueen is not too KO'd by Hidden Power Water, but I will be able to do a nice amount of damage to it, and I will be able to wear it down. So this is our Mega Manectric, relatively standard. The amount of speed that I have is enough to outspeed a Timid Sceptile, and I believe something else. Let me think about what I am outspeeding here. I believe just the Timid Sceptile. I could be wrong on that. I feel like this is for something else as well. I built this team a little while ago, and I'm not 100% sure, but regardless, I outspeed everything on his team, bar Scarfers and bar the Mega Beedrill. So that is that. That is our Mega Manectric. Again, not a very versatile mod, so I can't do a lot with it, but it does what it does well, and I'm looking forward to using it in this game. So with that being said, let us now move on to a little bit more of a gimmicky set. We have a fully specially defensive Choice Banded Trick Bronzong. Now, if you remember in the last time we played George, one of the biggest problems to my team was this Gardevoir, not just because of what it could do offensively, but it tricked my Bronzong, which was a huge problem. He may go in with the same strategy because he doesn't really have to change up his Gardevoir that much. Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Psychic, or whatever else he wants to run, plus Trick, is still a big problem to my team. My only decent switch in is Bronzong, which can take 2 Shadow Balls. So if he decides to bring like a similar set, A, he will be crippling himself still because he'll have a Choice Band, and B, I still have a thing that I can trick onto something else. And it can't stay in with Gardevoir because I could possibly Heavy Slam it, so I can possibly cripple something else with a Choice Scarf, which is really nice. So there's that. The Choice Band is not necessarily there just to give me increased power on these attacks. It's mainly just there, like I said, to just trick it away, to cripple something on his team. He has a lot of things on his team that I would love to cripple, or he also has a lot of things on his team that this mod does not like. For example, he's got Manaphy. He could switch into that, start setting up versus my Bronzong. I trick it, he's crippled. Mamoswine would be a problem, but he's not switching a Mamoswine in on a Bronzong. Infernape, he's probably not going to hard switch on that either, because I could have a Psychic move, or I could have Earthquake for it. Fortress would be really nice to cripple, because I'll be getting its leftovers if he has that. It'll become banded, can't lock itself into, it'll lock itself into like rocks or something like that. It can lock itself into Rapid Spin, Volt Switch, things like that, all of which I can capitalize on. Giving the Snorlax a Choice Band would be okay as well, because if he's Curse-lax, I'll be able to lock him into Curse or something like that, or he just won't be able to set up. If it's a Rest Talk set, he'll be locked into Rest, or he'll be locked into Sleep Talk. I can capitalize on that. Tricking the Gardevoir, like I said, would be great. Tricking the Spiritomb is great. The Electabuzz is fine. Even something like the Nidoqueen is okay, because if I get Black Sludge, I can trick that away to something, and that would be decent as well. Granted, I don't want him switching back into Nidoqueen as I go for Trick and he gets his Black Sludge back, but regardless. Plus, I don't think he'd switch in Nidoqueen on a Bronzong anyway, because I could have Earthquake, I could have the Psychic move, and things like that, so yeah. Regardless, this Bronzong is very important for his team. With the Split F investment, I can take hits from the Manaphy, I can take hits from the Gardevoir, the Electabuzz, the Nidoqueen even. I take hits from other things, like if he is a Curse-lax, I'll be able to take Body Slam from it no problem, can take 2 crunches relatively well anyway. So this is just a very big threat to his team, and I'm hoping to catch him off guard with the trick and cripple something on his team so that my other mons have an easier time dealing with his team. So that is our Bronzong. Let us now move on. We are bringing both our ground types this game. We are bringing Piloswine as well. He, like I said, does not have a ground immunity. We are bringing Piloswine. Definitely a little bit of an interesting set. Not super interesting, it's relatively standard, but Earthquake, Ice Shard, Roar, and Stealth Rock. I wanted a Stealth Rock around this team, and Garchomp and Bronzong kind of needed all of their moves regardless, so we're going with our Piloswine as our Stealth Rocker. It sets up rocks versus a lot of his team, sets him up versus Mamoswine, versus even Infernape I can take a hit from. It sets him up versus the Fortress, the Snorlax, the Gardevoir, pretty much against anything. It's not O-code by really anything, bar like a Leaf Storm from Sceptile, and even then, because I'm fully Split F, I don't think that'll knock me out. Earthquake and Ice Shard hit his entire team, essentially. Like, Earthquake hits, like I said, pretty much everything, and Ice Shard would be nice for things like the Sceptile, like the Nidoqueen if it's weakened enough. Priority is also very nice in general. Roar is also a big one. Suppose it is Manaphy versus Piloswine, I'm probably clicking Roar 100%, because I don't want him getting up a free Tail Glow. I don't have safe switch-ins to it, because if I go Azumarill on a Scald or Energy Ball, that's dangerous. Manectric takes a lot of damage from a Scald, same thing with Garchomp. Bronzong is setup fodder. I can't go Hitmonchan, so I need to make sure that pretty much everything on my team can check that Manaphy, and it's going to be very important, because also with the Split F, I'm not too KO'd by Scald, so I can, even if I get the even if he does go for the Scald, I can take it and then just roar him out anyway. If he still Tail Glow, that's good too. So regardless, this is a very nice mon for his team. This mon also stops his Electabuzz from spamming Thunderbolt or Volt Switch. Even though it does get Focus Blast, it will not be able to 2-KO me unless he has Life Orb, and even then, I believe that's a roll, and he has to hit Focus Blasts. So this is a very nice mon for his team, very bulky. Very reliable Stealth Rocket for his team, which is also big because hazards versus his team are pretty important. So this is our Piloswine. Like I said, fully split F, takes hits from pretty much anything. Now let us move on to our Hitmonchan. First time this season we are bringing Hitmonchan, got it week 2, never brought it, Hitmonchan. So, we are running an offensive extra belted Hitmonchan with Drain Punch, EQ, Fire Punch, and Bullet Punch. Earthquake is there to hit the Nidoqueen hardest. I was originally running Ice Punch because with Iron Fist it does more damage, but Earthquake actually does more overall. Siri, I'm not talking to you, please get out of here. Also with Earthquake, I hit the Electabuzz super effectively, and I hit the Infernape super effectively, which is really nice. Drain Punch is also very good for stab. An extra boosted Drain Punch onto Snorlax will do a ton of damage. It's just a very nice spammable move over his team. If he does not bring something like Spiritomb, that I can pretty much just safely click Drain Punch across his team. Fire Punch is very nice to get a knockout on a little bit of a weakened Fortress. Depending on his set, I will be able to knock it out in one hit, but because Fortress is very naturally bulky, I probably won't be able to OHKO it, need some chip damage. And then Bullet Punch. Really wanted to run Mach Punch on this set, but I just could not fit it. I need Bullet Punch so that I can hit the Gardevoir. Gardevoir takes, I believe, from an Expert Bell boosted Bullet Punch, 60 to 70%, so I need that whittle a little bit and I can knock it out. And then it still does about half or a little bit over half to a Mamoswine. So even though Mach Punch would do more to the Mamoswine, Bullet Punch still does a decent amount of damage to it, and it hits the Gardevoir as well before it can hit me, which is very big. Hitmonchan is actually a pretty big threat to his team just because of its move coverage and because of its decent natural bulk. I will be able to take hits from things relatively well and fire back hits as well. So this is our Hitmonchan. Very important for his team. It actually offensively threatens a lot. There's not a lot that immediately OHKOs it. So yeah, nothing else to really say about that. Hitmonchan. Now, our last mon is a mon that I did bring last time, but it's a very different set. I brought Perish Trap Azumarill last time. Didn't end up working out. He didn't bring Melodic. He no longer has Melodic. So this time we are going with a Life Orb Azumarill. Azumarill? Yeah, I said that weird. We have a Life Orb Azumarill with Belly Drum. Now, I'll get into why we have Belly Drum in a minute. Play Rough, Waterfall, Aqua Jet. Hit pretty much his entire team. Play Rough the Manaphy, like Waterfall everything else, or Play Rough everything else, or pick things off with Aqua Jet, okay? Superpower would have been nice for the Snorlax, but I 2-KO it with Life Orb Play Rough anyway, so not a lot of point to run that, and I don't want my defenses lowered. That based in on a couple things, so we have that. Belly Drum is there just in case it ends up being useful. It's probably not going to be clicked during the game, even though I may be tempted to, but suppose like he's in with Fortress, and I think he's going to go for rocks, and his 30 is broken, and I'm at like near full health. I can set up a Belly Drum, and then proceed to get a ton of damage on... I can proceed to knock out the Fortress, and then proceed to get up a lot of damage on everything else. This Azumarill, with Belly Drum, suppose I predict him to make a double, or suppose I predict him to sack something, I can click Belly Drum if I have a lot of health left, and then go to town from there. Because he doesn't have a ton of priority on his team. He pretty much, the only priority that outpaces mine would be Mamoswine's Ice Shard, which I resist, and Infernape's Mach Punch or Vacuum Wave, which I resist. Could also be Fake Out, but I'm not entirely sure if he'd run that. Regardless, I only needed the 3 attacking moves, so why not throw on a possibly game-changing move in case the situation arises? So that is our Azumarill. A little bit gimmicky, but like I said, it's mainly just there because he doesn't have a great switch into it. No more Melodic to kind of deal with it, so that is the team we are bringing versus George. This is an extremely important game. Like I said at the end of my match last week, if we win this game, we are 100% guaranteed into the playoffs. If we lose and Dan beats Nick, then he is into the playoffs, and we have to sit out for the rest of the season. So I hope you're looking forward to this game. It should be going up tomorrow. It's definitely going to be intense. Like I said, check out George in the description below, and have a nice day, everyone.